You are listening to the podcast To Be Single or Not to Be by Shanna Montana, a podcast where we talk about the single life, dating, and relationships so you can make a decision at the end of each episode to be single or not to be. So today's topic is no more boyfriends. And I feel this is a necessary conversation that we must have based on today's dating climate in the world and just all that's going on around us right now. But also because as women, it is our duty to always ensure we are constantly educating ourselves on how we can get better and how we can do better. And conversations like these must be had for that to take place. So here we are. And I wanted to be sure that I brought in some guests who I know can add some value and some new insight to the topic at hand. And they are, up first, we have my cousin Angie from Chicago. Say hello to the people.
Hello, people.
All right. And up next, we have my sister Kiana in ATL/Douglasville. Say hi to the listeners.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome, welcome. All right. So, ladies, we are going to get right to it because I already know that when they see the topic, no more boyfriends, people are going to want to know what that means. So, based on the title of this episode, you guys tell me, and whoever wants to go first can, why are you personally against the notion of not having a boyfriend?
I'll go first. I'll jump right on in here
Okay.
because a boyfriend to me is nothing.
Okay.
I think personally, everything for me is just like a business type relationship. I mean, you got to think about your life as a business. You're trying to reach certain goals. You're trying to get to a certain place. When I go to file my taxes, it says single, it says married, it says head of household. Nowhere on there does it say boyfriend. So if the government is not going to give this man a title in my life, I'm not either.
I love it.
I totally agree with that, Kiana. I totally agree with that.
I love it. And I heard somebody say that one time. A guy asked him, like, was he in a relationship? He was like, well, my taxes say I'm single. So
exactly.
And speaking for me, an older person, someone who's in her 50s, I don't have time for boyfriends.
Okay.
That's something you have when you're younger, in your younger years.
Mm-hmm.
At this stage of my life, I'm not looking for a boyfriend.
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And I think that is something we're going to definitely touch on a little bit later in the episode when it comes to your age and how you're navigating your love life. You have to move differently. And Kiana, something you said that stood out was, a relationship is like a business. And Will and Jada talk about that. Will Smith and Jada Smith, they talk a lot about how they are, they're married, but it's a partnership. It's a life partnership. What are we building? What are we growing? And that goes from the husband and wife down to the kids too. So I think people sometimes don't look at it that way. We get so caught up in love that we forget, you need more than love for a relationship to survive.
Exactly.
So do you all think that it's foolish for women to be okay with placing value on a boyfriend? And why, if you feel that way?
I think it kind of goes back to what you said a little bit earlier about where you are in your life. I mean, if I'm a teenager in high school, yeah, that's my boyfriend. Because I mean, at that point in your life, or even getting into your early 20s, your life doesn't consist of much else besides the people that you hang around. But then when you start to grow and develop, you get into your 30s and your 40s, you're trying to say, hey, where do I want to live? What kind of home do I want to have? What kind of car? What type of businesses do I want to establish? How am I going to increase my income? Then it becomes more like, okay, what is a boyfriend going to do for me? When you look back and say, I have a boyfriend, most time a boyfriend falls right into that role. He's a boyfriend. He's there. He can meet your sexual desires and things like that. You can go out to the movies and do little things like that. But ultimately, I want to get to something bigger. I'm going to graduate that boyfriend relationship into an adult relationship. And an adult relationship is a whole lot different. I could take myself to the movies and buy my own popcorn. So I don't need you to be there.
Exactly.
I need you to come with me to this new level where I'm trying to be. Are you growing in development? Because if you are still a boyfriend, you're going to be somebody else's boyfriend. I'm a wife. I'm not a girlfriend. So I need you to step with me.
I get it. I love it.
I agree exactly with what she's saying. And when you put a lot of value on a boyfriend, sometimes in the end, you done put all your energy, all your love, all that into this boyfriend for that boyfriend to leave you and go wife up another woman.
Say that.
So you shouldn't spend, I do think it's foolish to spend all that energy and stuff into a boyfriend for the exact reasons that I just said. Don't build somebody else up or spend your time on a boyfriend when he can leave you in the end to go wife up someone else.
I agree. It reminds me of, yesterday, was it last night or maybe it was Thursday night, was the NFL draft. And y'all might or might not have seen it by now, but there's this picture floating around with well, actually she was his wife at the time, but I still want to bring it up because it's funny. Did y'all see the picture with Russell Wilson's
Yes.
yes, the woman he was with?
Okay, I missed that, so you're gonna have to give
We're
me a
gonna
little
have to
more on
send it
that
to y'all,
chain.
but to create a picture, it's a picture of Russell Wilson with his then, I think might have been his wife or girlfriend, whatever, and she looked like she was so happy, like she had hit the jackpot because she was with him at the
Right. I
draft.
saw that as a
Yeah.
caption. The moment that she realized that she was set for life. Oh,
Yeah,
baby.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And he has moved on to much better. So that made me just think
Mm-hmm.
about how much time and energy you're putting in the situation, which we don't know the details of Russell in that situation, but it could, if we wanted to place it on things that we see present day, we see people do it a lot that sit, in that seat and they don't make any progress. So that leads me to, let's talk a little bit about, because our demographic of who listens to the podcast, I would say is in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. That's a great range. So if we talk a little bit about, for the listeners that's in their 20s and 30s, how should they be navigating relationships? How should they be dealing with men in regards to, that age range? What do y'all think?
I say, hey, 20s, 30s, you're still young. You're still in your development phase.
Mm-hmm.
I say go into it. I mean, that's your time when you're supposed to date. You're still figuring yourself out. Most of the
Right.
times when you're in your 20s, hey, you just moved out of your mom's house. Maybe you went to college. You got your 4 years in the dorm. That's still a little bit different because you haven't taken on a lot of the adult responsibilities. So
Right.
when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, hey, you're getting started. You're getting your first car. You're paying insurance on your own. You got your first spot. You're trying to get your furniture. Find somebody whose goals and morals kind of align with yours,
With yours,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
because then what happens is that you get that boyfriend and he's a little different. He may be figuring himself out too, but if
Mm-hmm.
he has a whole different outlook on how his life is going to turn out, sometimes that stuff can start to rub off on you.
Oh
So you
yeah.
got to worry about that kind of stuff, women in your 20s and 30s, because you may not even realize, like they say, love is blind. You don't even
Mm-hmm.
see. You think Jerome is over here looking out for you, but in the end, Jerome says, oh, this girl got a degree. She got
Yep.
her a car. She got her a little spot. Let me hang on to her.
Yep.
She cook every Sunday. Oh, this is a good deal going for me. But Jerome on the same side, he got Waukesha over here, and
Yeah.
Waukesha doing all the other stuff. Oh, she's a hood rat. She likes to do all the fun stuff Jerome likes to do. And now you've just gotten led through your 20s and 30s.
Yep.
And, kind of, I can speak personally from my experience where I went through my 20s for somebody who was not trying to help me grow. I
Mm.
feel like now in my 40s, had I been with somebody who was cultivating what I was doing, y'all, my kid's dad at the time, who I was with in my 20s, he
Mm.
told me when I was trying to go to grad school and applying for medical school and things like that, why you doing all that? Why
Mm.
you want to be around all them doctors? You trying to leave me? And I'm
Mm.
so dumb. I ain't had nobody. I didn't have a podcast to listen to. I
Yeah.
didn't have
Yeah.
any advice.
Yeah.
All the people who were talking to me was like, oh, that man pay the bills. He take care of those kids. They didn't tell
Mm.
me that I was in an unhealthy relationship.
Right.
So I feel like women in your 20s and 30s, if I could give you this one little bit of advice, think about what's best for you.
Yeah.
It may seem
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, everybody wants to be in a relationship. I don't think anybody wants to be single and lonely for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
But think about, is this man right here, is this boyfriend going to be the man I need him to be as I grow and develop? Is
Yeah.
he growing and developing, or is he stuck in right now?
Yeah. Makes perfect sense. And I think that's a piece of advice that a lot of us might have been missing, because it was the same thing. I think society, the world, and it's changed so much that we just thought, oh, if he pays the bills, takes care of me, I should just sit here and take it, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
not shoot for my own thing. So that makes sense. How is he helping me to grow, develop, and cultivate? And if that's not looking like what it should, then you have to start thinking about what's best for you and possibly move on if necessary. So what would you guys say and I would say, Angie, would you agree with that philosophy, like what Kiana spoke of? I think she kind of hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I totally agree for her with what Kiana said, especially for the age range that she mentioned,
Mm-hmm. So,
for the 20 and 30-year-olds. So yeah, I totally agree with her perspective on that.
so we'll kick off with you. For those women that may be in their 40s and 50s, how do you feel like they should be navigating those relationships or those waters?
I think when you're in your 40s and 50s, you should know clearer what it is that you want out of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So in your 20s and 30s, you're navigating the waters, trying to see, what you want, what type of mate would be compatible with you. In
Okay.
your 40s and 50s, this is the age where you're like, okay, I know this is what I want. I know this is what I'm not going to accept.
Right.
When you're in your 40s and 50s, it's a little harder
Mm-hmm.
to navigate those waters, because you have some men that's still in their 40s and 50s that mentally they're in their 20s and
Mm.
30s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
we have to navigate that as well, those waters as well. But like I said in the beginning, the one thing you should know at this stage of the game is what you'll accept and what you won't accept. If you're still trying to figure out what, as a woman, what you want out of a relationship at that age, you're lost. You're lost.
You probably need to just give it up at that point.
Right. You have to go back. No, you have to listen to podcasts like this one to
Yeah.
figure out like what it is that you're doing wrong, and
Yeah.
try and figure out how to get back to to you.
Yeah, and I agree. I think on both sides of the coin, it's that mental state says a lot. And also, don't neglect, even though in 20s and 30s, as Kiana said, you are learning, you are growing. It's okay, I would say, even as you get to mid to late 30s, you should start to become super clear on what it is that you're looking for. Don't feel
Mm-hmm.
like you should be out here playing games at that point, because for many of us that may be listening, yeah, you are more established in your life, you're going in the right direction, and you want somebody that's coming along that's doing the same things that you're doing. As I always say, I'm cool if somebody could just meet me where I'm at. I'm never gonna ask for somebody to do more than me than I can do for myself. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think that should be like everybody's baseline. Nothing below. You shouldn't have to bend over. You shouldn't have to bend your back, bend your
Right.
knees to
You
reach
shouldn't have to
down.
dummy down in order
Yeah,
to be in a relationship. If that man
exactly.
is not on the level that you're on, don't be afraid to walk away. I know
Yeah.
a lot of women are scared to be by themselves. Heck, I've been by myself for quite a long time. But you know what? If
Mm-hmm.
you love yourself, you'll be okay. You're
Yep.
not going to accept the
Well, let me
first
jump
man
in
that
here,
come
y'all.
around.
Go ahead.
Let me jump in.
Mm-hmm.
So, on that note, though, we're talking about the women who, hey, you get to your 40s and your 50s, you should have everything established. Think about all of the stuff that's going on with women who get to that age,
Mm-hmm.
women who are in their 40s and 50s, but then this man comes along and they accept the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That kind of, I feel like, messes it up for women who are trying. And I don't even want to put an age range on this, because this
Uh-huh.
happens in your 20s, 30s, 40s,
But you
50s,
know
and
what? That
60s,
comes from
where you
women,
got
or
these women.
that comes from that mindset that you just have to have a man.
But look, they mess it up for the rest of us, though, Angie, because look, we all know that you got the women that got that mindset, like you said, hey, I gotta have a man. I mean, everybody probably on this conversation right now knows
No, at
somebody
least
who
one person.
always got a man. They
Mm-hmm.
always got a man. You ain't never seen them without a man. And then I know I can speak for myself. I could speak for the women who out here reading these self help books, talking about why I can't get a man, what I need to do. We reading Steve Harvey and all this kind of stuff, and this man twice divorced and all this kind of stuff. But we
Yeah.
Three
reading
times,
because
girl.
we
Don't get me
look,
started.
we trying to listen to whoever could help us out with getting a man. But a big part of it goes to those women who they out here. The man comes to woman number one. She's like, no, I'm not gonna accept that. You are scrub. You move on right along. So he moves on right along. He
Yeah.
goes to woman number two. She like, you ain't even got no car. Keep it moving. I don't want nothing to do with you. He moves on. But then he gets to woman number three, and she taking all that foolishness. He
Yeah.
going over her house. He could borrow her car. He drinking up all the kids' juicy juice and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she accepts that. So now when he gets done with her, she moves on, he moves on. Then he gets the woman number four, somebody like me that's like, no, you're not coming over here eating my kids' food. You can't borrow my car. Now
Yeah.
he's mad, but then we'll flip it around and make it look like it's something wrong with me. Or
Yeah.
either you have some women that have low self-esteem that they all jacked up now, like, hey, what's wrong with me? Maybe
And
I
that's
should
the
accept this
key.
stuff.
And
Low
we talk
self
about that
esteem.
on a
Low self
previous
esteem.
episode. It's low self-esteem
Yep.
is real. And we talk about that on a previous episode. Like, why do women make it so easy for men these days? Because you're exactly right. Every example that you gave is so true. Because even our bishop talked about that. He said you had 1,200 women in a room, and one of those women is gonna fall for the foolishness. And
Mm-hmm.
because of that one
Mm-hmm.
woman, that man now knows that I still have some prey out there. And that's what
Yep.
he does.
Yep.
So what do you think that in that situation, because ultimately it is up to each of us women to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And if we desire to have excellence, that we hold out until we get that. What do you guys say we have to do for women to stop falling victim to what they do not want? Because the woman that is dealing with the man that doesn't have a car, doesn't have drive, doesn't have anything, she don't really want him. She just wants somebody
Right.
sitting there. So
Right.
what do you
You
all
know,
think? What?
you gotta have you some good girlfriends, some
Yeah.
Right.
girlfriends that's gonna tell you the truth and not just what you want to hear. Now, I'm not saying you gotta be like, girl, you stupid, but but let her know her worth. Let
Yeah.
her know her value. And every woman, I'm pretty sure, probably has been down that road before. So you can speak from experience. Girl, let me tell you, that man don't want you. He just doing blah, blah, blah. Build that sister up.
You have to build a
Mm-hmm.
sister up, but I also think that the biggest thing out of this also is the companionship. And I think women have to understand you can get companionship from more than a man. So what I mean by that is
Exactly.
if you build a good sister circle, that means if you're having a rough day where you might want to call Jerome, when you could call your girlfriend. When
Yeah.
times aren't like this, you can go over, y'all hang out together. You
Right.
can go find something. It may come down to where you may have to distract yourself sometimes from just giving in to the foolishness. But I think you have to build a support system around you to push through those situations.
And like I said, as for myself, as example, I've been single, I don't even want to count the years, because I might get depressed, but it doesn't stop me from enjoying life. I
Yeah.
have a sister
Right.
circle of friends. I have my cousins. I travel. I go to
Yeah.
dinner. I go to concerts. I don't let no man stop no show from me.
Yeah.
And that
Mm-hmm.
woman out there who's sitting in the house being sad because she ain't got no man, girl, brush yourself off. You came in this world by yourself. You didn't come in this world with no man on your side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Right.
if you sitting at home and being sad and stuff, thinking that you need a man, you ain't gonna never find one, because
No.
that negative energy
That
that
energy.
you're portraying is gonna
Yeah.
keep any good man away from you. When a man see you out there living your life, doing your thing, ain't worrying, he's gonna be attracted to you.
Absolutely.
And
So
that's where women need to learn how to build themselves up. I
yes,
found that every time I got out of now, I would say, the queen of a long relationship. I'll stay forever, it seemed like. But I found that in those times where I said, hey, I'm done with that relationship, those were the times when I built myself up the most.
yeah,
I
Mm-hmm.
went back and enrolled in school. I'm like, hey, I'm finna get another degree. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I'm finna learn how to start doing some skincare. I'm about to start exercising. I'm about to
Yeah.
do these things, because then I used my time where I was
yeah,
dedicating all of my time and
to the
energy to
man,
this man,
yeah.
trying to make him think I'm the wife. I
Yeah.
already know I'm the
You
wife.
doing
I'm
the
trying
you
to
doing the
convince him
wifely
I'm the wife.
roles, but you ain't getting that
Exactly.
wifely recognition. And so
Yep.
women got to stop
Exactly.
doing that. How did grandma used to say? Stop giving them the cow, let them make them buy the milk.
Yeah.
It was some
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free?
There you go.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
got to stop putting on, being in those wifely roles for men who ain't trying to wife us up.
Until
Right.
you
I was
are the wife.
talking to one of my nieces recently. We had a little family gathering and talking to her, and it to me kind of seems like you want to fake being a wife. One of
Mm-hmm.
my things now, I'm like, as I'm going through relationships now, I've lived with boyfriends in the past,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm at the point I'm not doing that anymore.
Nope.
I don't care how close we say we are. We could be talking about, hey, we're going to get married. Okay, when we get married, we can move in together.
Because when they
Mm-hmm.
get
Until then,
comfortable, when you make them
right,
comfortable like that, it's no
exactly.
need for them to put a ring on your finger. Hell, they already
Because
in the
they're getting
house.
all the benefit, right?
There
And
you
Yep.
what
go.
women don't realize, you getting the short end of the stick, because this man is getting a wife. He's got somebody in the house that's cooking,
Yeah.
that's cleaning. He got somebody to go to bed with every night,
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. He got all that going on, but you getting the short end of the stick. Mr. Billy Bob up here that you laying up with, he go out and get killed in a car wreck tomorrow.
You ain't
Then
got
guess what?
nothing.
You can't look, you can't even sit on the front row at the funeral. You back
Yep.
there weeping and grieving with your homegirls, because his mama ain't gonna have you sitting up on that front.
And look, if you
She
got
gonna
a
be on
house
that front row.
together, I hope your name is on that bad boy, because once he's gone, you gonna have to pack your bags and leave. See, you gotta
Oh, the
have
Yep.
family
some
will put you
type
out
of
so quick.
insurance.
Yeah. The family love you as a girlfriend. They love you verbally, but if something like that does happen, unfortunately, the love is most times lost.
Yes.
Right. They not worried about you, because when it comes down, they will tell you a funeral brings out the worst in people.
Oh
Because
yes.
when it comes down to looking at that money and looking at those assets, oh, girlfriend gets nothing.
Nothing.
Boyfriend gets nothing.
Nothing.
And then I even had a conversation last night with a friend, and we were talking about that. And it was like, well, if you're in a relationship and the boyfriend is doing all of their boyfriend duties, they're not cheating, they're taking care of the house and all this kind of stuff. And then I brought that piece up. And it was like, well, why they could get some insurance and stuff. I personally, and y'all can tell me if you know anybody, I don't know anybody in a boyfriend girlfriend relationship where they have life insurance,
Right.
where they
Oh,
have shared, they might, both of their names might be on the lease if they rent an apartment,
Right.
but outside of that, you have no rights to any assets. So what's going to happen is family is going to come and you about to get kicked to the curb.
Look, because if a
yeah.
boyfriend is asking for insurance policy on me, I'm finna look at him like, okay, what you got planned? What you trying to?
What you got planned, and
What
why
you?
you not trying to make me your wife?
Right.
Right,
Because
you
you trying
finna
to
take
have
me out
insurance
or
on me?
something? So yeah, no,
Yeah.
you don't get those kind of privileges. You don't get no. That's wifely stuff.
And so that's the thing. That goes back to the point people saying we can get insurance, we can get a will, we can get this. No, well, why can't we get the legal document that's called a marriage certificate?
Exactly. If you're gonna do all that,
Exactly. If you're going to be doing all of that, because people want to be in these fake marriage relationships.
and
I
and
can't
you
do
know
it.
another thing that I don't think women should do. If you're not legally married to this man, don't wear a ring on your ring finger.
No, no, I don't want that energy at all. It is fake
Yeah,
engagement,
don't do
wedding
Right.
ring,
that
whatever.
because you'll block your
Because that's
blessing from ever getting married.
right. And that's where a man is trying to take ownership. A lot of men will try to prevent you from going out.
Hmm.
Just like I
Yeah.
said in my old relationship with my kid's father, didn't want me to go get further degrees, get higher paid. He didn't want, because what he saw was he had me at the house with these two
Mm-hmm.
kids. I could barely go out to meet anybody. So he had ownership over me. So
Mm-hmm.
like our grandma used to say, having your cake and eating it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He may not have been going out cheating, but he knew that he was single still. So if he
Yeah.
wanted to talk to another woman, he couldn't say anything about a wife or anything like
Right.
that.
Right.
But I'm
Right.
at the house with these kids. I couldn't do anything. I was locked down. But he knew that when he came home, I was gonna be there. I mean, where was I gonna go?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep you down. That's what that was.
Mhm.
Definitely got
And
to
a
keep
lot
you
of
there.
people, and you will be amazed though how many women will stay in a relationship because when they're in this relationship, I mean, think about it. You live in, your bills are paid, you got food on the table,
Mm-hmm.
everything's pretty much taken care of. You don't have too many worries. Yeah, you still want this ring on your finger, but then you got to think about, oh, if I leave, I'm gonna lose all of this. Where am
Mm.
I gonna stay? It's gonna cost. He's paying all the bills. I'm
Yeah.
working part time. I can't afford to pay all the bills. So women will stay in these relationships
Yeah.
because they don't want to. Because number one, I think a big thing, women don't want to be embarrassed, especially in this age of social media. Now,
Oh
back in
my
my day,
goodness. That's
it
a
wasn't no
huge part.
social media.
Right.
But you done already been on social media bragging because your man do all this, he do all that, he bought me this, he bought me that. But then if you break up with him, you back down to square one. You
Mm.
ain't got all this stuff because he, please believe he gonna take his little stuff. He
Hmm.
don't
Oh
care
yeah.
about, he gonna take them Louboutins and be trying to give them to the next girl, hoping she wear the
Okay.
same
Hope
size
she
you
wears
wear.
size 8.
And you see it all the
Right.
time. You see it where people go through that, they break up, and all of a sudden that person has deactivated their Facebook account because people are more concerned about what society will say about them versus living their own personal best life,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I
which is
think you should never put your relationship out there on social media for nobody to judge, look at, or whatever. Stop trying to front for the Joneses.
yeah. I think it's good. I think it's healthy if you both share and decide, like, you put certain pictures up, deep things up, but the type, I know exactly what Kiana's talking about, the type that's always bragging on what each other is doing for the
Mm-hmm.
person, just trying to make it look like it's more than what it is, or just I just think some things do need to stay offline. It's all about that balance. So that brings me to when it comes to women, and we're talking about making sure being in a healthy relationship and all those things that it looks like. Do you all believe in cutoff dates? So, do you think women should have their own personal timeline to walk away from a relationship if they desire marriage and their partner doesn't?
Yes. I
Lord.
definitely do.
I'm
And
giggling over here.
I again, and I'm not sure, every person has a different timeline. So for me in
Mm-hmm.
my 50s, I meet a nice young man and we're dating exclusively, for 6 months to a year. After that, we need some traction. The next step is not boyfriend. The next step is, we finna get married. After
Yeah.
maybe a year, if you ain't ready to make that move, me personally, I would move on because you're not on the
Yeah.
same page as me.
Okay. And you feel like you said because of your age, like where you are in life and your age, you're just not gonna stay around and play
Right.
those
I
games.
just no. I know what I want. It's not like I'm so old I'm finna die, but why play
Yeah.
play these games?
Yeah, I get it. It makes sense. Kiana, what would you say to that?
Oh Lord.
Kiana, the stay in a relationship queen.
Well, well, let me speak on it. First, um, I'm a little different from most people because I'm the one that people often frown up at when I talk
Mhm.
about my past relationships because my past relationships have been long. I've been in
Mhm.
relationships for 7 years, 8 years. Neither of those relationships ended in a marriage. Now,
Mm-hmm.
some people may say that maybe she doesn't want to get married. I do. Some
Okay.
people would say that, maybe she's crazy. Well, I might be, but
Okay.
that's not the reason why I didn't get married.
Okay.
I just kind of was in, I would venture to say I was in good relationships. There
Mm-hmm.
was no infidelity. There was no, um, I didn't have to worry about stability, finances. I was in relationships where I saw myself while I was in those relationships ultimately marrying those people. So I stayed because I'm just like, hey, I guess I kind of had that mindset that, hey, if I stay long enough, I talked a little
Mm-hmm.
earlier about trying to convince this man, he's going to
Right.
see that I'm a good woman. He doesn't want to let me go. He's going to marry me.
Right.
It didn't happen.
Never
So
does.
with that first relationship, though, the odd thing is ultimately once I got to that point, because y'all know women know probably a few months before we break up that we're going to break up. We
Correct.
already
Yeah.
out of the relationship before we leave.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I guess he kind of saw that his time was coming
Mm-hmm.
and he proposed. Once I got the ring, you would have thought I was jumping for joy. Hey, I'm finally getting married. Yes, he wants it. Yes, he knows that I'm his wife. I had the opposite effect. As
Mm.
soon as I got that ring on my finger, I was like, oh no, I don't want to stay. This was the same man that I told y'all about that was like, hey, why are you trying to go to school? Why do you want to get
Mm.
these
Mm-hmm.
degrees? All that kind of stuff. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when I was in the relationship, I saw love. He cared about me. He didn't want me to go out there risking my life and all this. But then
Uh-huh.
when I got that ring on my finger, I saw that no, this man is trying to control me. He wants to keep me down. He does not want me
Mm-hmm.
to go out making more money than him.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Yep.
what. So once I got that ring, I promised I kept the ring. He proposed on Christmas. By February, gave the ring back. I was like,
Yeah.
no, I couldn't even put myself. I cannot stay with this man for the rest of my
You
life.
sound like me.
In
Yeah.
the other in the other relationship though, it just kind of got to a point where we done everything that we needed to do. We talked about marriage. Now this was a long distance relationship, so again, a different kind of unique situation, but we had been together for about 7 years at that point, and we talked about marriage. We talked about doing everything that we needed to do, but still no ring. And it was almost like I just woke up one morning and was like, hey, no, I can't do this anymore. So I honestly, in this long distance relationship, I had gone down to where he lived and I left. I got up the next morning, left his house, drove back to Georgia, blocked him, do not disturb, whatever it is you do to make somebody not be able to call you. That's what I did.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Didn't say a
Kiana,
word. I didn't tell
when you
him.
was in like year 3, 4, did you feel like, yeah, I want to get married, or why did you wait so long for this
Because
idea to come
honestly,
up
Angie,
in your
because
head?
everything was good.
Okay.
Everything was good. I mean, we're doing everything that should be done in a happy relationship, especially like with me being in that long distance relationship. Now, I take that with the first relationship with my kid's dad, I had a lot of misconceptions about relationships. I wasn't ready anyway. That probably wouldn't have been a good marriage. But this last relationship, I kind of feel like everything was good. We were having the real conversations. We had broken stuff down that needed to be broken down. We knew what needed to be done, but still no ring, still no ring. But I was just like kind of,
You was
I
comfortable.
felt like, yeah, it's almost like
Mm-hmm.
you're in a relationship and people are like, why did y'all break up? I had no reason to break up. No infidelity. We're doing
You
the
But
did
you
have a
did
annual
have a
reason to break
reason.
up.
vacations.
You
We do
You
wanted to
did have
get
a reason.
married, and he wasn't ready to get married, or he wasn't at that point. So it was a reason that.
But that's the thing. It's different when it's verbal. So you have a conversation with somebody and you're like, hey, what are your thoughts on marriage? And they say, I don't want to get married. I was in that relationship where I wasn't getting that. They were like, yeah, we're going to get married. Well, of course, we didn't pick a date because I think that's kind of, I wouldn't pick a date before anybody actually
Right, without
engaged.
a ring.
But I was getting the responses and feedback that I needed. So it's different. If I were to ask somebody, 3, 4 years in and I'm like, hey, what are your thoughts on marriage? And they're like, no, I want to get married. Then yeah, I could cut
Yeah.
that off then. But no, I was getting yeah, we're gonna get married, we're gonna vacation here. When you
Okay,
think
so
we ought to get married? We having those kind of
okay, so
conversations.
in year, I'm just saying year 3, y'all talking about marriage. Yeah, we're gonna get married. Yeah, we're gonna get married. Year 5, when there's no ring produced, why did you keep going?
I really don't think that we really got there probably until about year 5. So over that
Mm-hmm.
next between years 5 and 7 is when it really started to kind of where I started to feel a little like, I don't think this is gonna happen. So the
Mm-hmm.
first 5 years, I think I was kind of comfortable in the relationship. I mean, I think it was different because it was a long distance relationship, so I didn't have to see him, but there was a lot of effort put forth. As y'all know, in a long distance relationship, somebody's got to be putting forth the
Right.
effort. So I saw that effort being put forth. We saw each other twice a month, no matter what, sacrifices were being made to make sure the relationship was able to sustain itself. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was good, but I think once we got to year 5 and we started having those real serious conversations, but then no ring was ever produced. And there was actually two instances where, I think everybody thinks about, okay, how is he going to propose?
Mm-hmm.
So we had, I think in that last year, we had gone to some vacation. And I was like, okay, this is going to be it. Go on vacation, have a great time. I was very expectant, but
Yeah.
no ring. Then Valentine's Day came. And it really got to the point like his friends were asking, my friends were asking, after every little thing, we would go to a party. Hey, did he propose? That's when it really just started to like, dang, he really ain't. He's got all these opportunities. He done had
Yeah.
vacation time. We done had this party we went to. We had this little special occasion. 5 special occasions went by and he ain't thought about no ring. So that's when I
Yeah.
think for me, because the instance whenever I did leave, it was after one of those kind of special occasion type things. I
Mm-hmm.
had gone down there, got all dressed up, did all this kind of stuff, went to sleep, woke back up. I'm looking over there. Maybe he got the ring under the pillow. Nah, he just woke up and was like, "Good morning." I was like, "No, I packed all my stuff. I'm telling y'all, I left at 6 o'clock that morning."
So you were over and you had just mentally knew like this is my cutoff. I'm done.
Yes, it was very visible to me that my desires, and a lot of times you can hear people talk about, you want this. Yes, I have my expectations, so I need somebody to be on the same page as me, especially when we had these conversations. So
That's
I
fair.
don't know what his timeline was, because sometimes you see that little picture where you like digging, the people digging for gold, and then you see where the person stops like one dig before they get to the gold.
Uh-huh.
I may have left a month before. It was a February when I left. Maybe he had planned to propose in March, but
If
I'll
that
never
was the
know.
case, if a man planned to, he would have found you hell or high
Thank you.
water. If that's what he wanted
Thank
to
Right,
do.
you.
right.
Yeah. So that's one of those situations where yeah, you definitely just had to do what was best for you. And so for you to be able to just leave and block them and yeah, I don't know if a lot of women could have did that. Just could have.
Yeah, and when I tell you, like, it was hard for me to, because I'm telling you, when I blocked it, I went to that phone so many times. It's like, well, maybe I should unblock it just to see if he's gonna call. And I'm telling you, a year went by, and I don't know what possessed me. Maybe I was still being hopeful at that point, and
Mm-hmm.
I unblocked the number and got that phone call the next day. Of course, it wasn't a phone call talking about, hey, I've been trying to call you. Do you want to get married?
Yeah.
But still, in my innermost feelings, I was still like, well, maybe he does want to marry me, but because I blocked him, he
Yeah.
ain't been
You
able to
still
call
Please.
me to
you
say,
thinking self
will you
sabotaging
If
yourself.
that
marry
was the
me?
case, he'd have been on the road coming to your house. He knew where you lived.
Yeah. That would have been
Yeah. So
definitely the
that's
case.
just one of those things, that was a part of my life that I had to go through and, realize that it wasn't me.
Yeah.
He didn't want to marry me because if he did, he would have
Yeah.
done
He would
whatever
have
he
done it.
needed to do
And I
to
think more
marry
women
me.
have to realize that it's not you. We are not the problem. We still will sometimes self sabotage and tell ourselves that when that's really not the case. So, do you think that, say in your example of you having that cutoff in your mind, or if a woman has a cutoff date linked to when they are going to, walk away, does that, does that hurt or help us when society says that we're already too independent when it comes to women?
Whew,
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
a
tough
tough
one.
one.
Yeah.
It
Because
could
I'm
be a
like,
double-edged
I'm
sword, it could be one of
Okay.
those, because if, like in Kiana's situation, maybe that next month it could have been the time. So if we stick to our timeline, stick hard to it, who knows that,
Mm-hmm.
in like in my case, 1 year, 1 month, he might have been proposing, but I don't let you go by now. So it's a double-edged
Yeah.
sword. You don't want to stay in a relationship and you want to get married and it's just not happening. You have to, walk away at some point. And even
Yeah.
sometimes
You
when you
have to
walk
release
away, it
it.
could jog a man to say, you know what, I can't let her get away, you know.
Yeah.
right.
So
And that's the other side of, you hate for it to be. It's like sometimes you got to leave to make a man wake up. So then you rolling the dice on that. You want, because you want to say, why couldn't you get it together before I
Right.
had to leave? But then, sometimes you leave and they do get it together and it works out happily ever after. But I think you just have to evaluate your situation, based on the circumstances. So that leads me to you, Angie. I know Kiana talked a bit about before when she was engaged and she knew when it was time for her to go. And I know you were engaged before. So, tell us a little bit about that story. What caused you to not go through with it?
Well, in my story, it took 10 years for me to get that ring on my finger. And I think I got the ring on my finger, because I was at that last year, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of playing house, tired of doing, either we're going to do this or we're not. So I kind of gave him an ultimatum. And so the ring was produced. Okay, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
So would you say, so you said you gave him an ultimatum and he produced the ring, but you decided at some point. So at what point did you decide, like, nah, I'm not gonna do this, even though I have the ring?
And the reason we separated was, not because of the length of time that it took him to marry. It was other things, other things that made me realize, you know what? I can't go through with this, even after all this time and good relationship and everything. It was just like we had financial issues, and I knew I didn't want to take that into no marriage, because I knew that if we have issues now, bad issues now, why would I marry you and for them to, blow up? So it was that
to get
and
work.
other little things that just made me stop and think, like, do I want to marry this man? Because once I marry this man, I don't want to mess his life up, and I don't want to mess my life up. And so after coming to that hard decision, and it was truly a hard decision, like I said, after 10 years, he, helped raise my son. And, for the most part, 80%, or I say 85% of our relationship was really good. I had to just come to that decision, like, I don't want to mess his life up, and I'm not going to mess my life up. I got to walk away from this. So, of course, it was, anger and hurt and pain. But to this day, we're the best of friends. Just because I made that
sometimes
decision.
that's how it works
Yeah,
out.
because I made that tough decision. He wasn't going to make it, but I had to make it. But, after doing that, and like I said, the grieving period and everything, we was able to come back and just be the best of friends.
So I'm going to ask this question, both of you. If you all had to go back and do that again with those people, like, would you follow the same path, or like, what would you do differently so you didn't wind up 10 years or 8 years?
Yeah, I wouldn't wait that long. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I could definitely do it with
I could say
the
the
same guy,
thing.
but I just wouldn't wait that long. I wouldn't give him that luxury, or wouldn't let him be that comfortable, to wait that long.
Makes sense. And what would you all say that, what are you doing differently in your life now? What would you do differently, or what did you learn from the situation that you are applying to your present day dating situation?
Well, I'm just pitiful. Let me go on and jump in, because I don't even feel like I'm doing nothing different. Like, I'm seeing someone now, and we have just gotten over the 2-year period. And I'm almost like, okay, so let me back up a little bit. After that first relationship, I said, hey, my cutoff is going to be 2 years. I'm like, I'm Miss Independent Black woman. I don't need no man.
I ain't never
So
been
these
that.
dudes, everybody who step in my life next, they got 2 years. They need to show me exactly what they're going to do in 2 years. I'm going to be gone. I got in the next relationship, was in it for like 7, 8 years.
Oh, Lord.
I let the 2 years go by, because after the 2 years, I'm like, because to me, the way that I am, I'm very, very protective of my feelings. So I don't even let go probably until about a year in. So the first year to me don't even count, because
Okay.
I ain't even gonna lie, I don't even trust you the whole first year.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out if you still seeing Keisha over here and such over here. I'm still trying to figure all it out.
Yeah.
So it takes me about a year to fully say that, okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna start. I'm for real, y'all. I don't even tell people I'm dating somebody like that first year. I'd be like, oh, this dude I know, we going out to dinner. And then like my close friends would be like, girl, you've been going out with this same dude for 2 years now. And then I'd be like, okay, yeah, we seeing each other for real now. So it's like that kind of thing. So the first 2 years, I really feel like, hey, I just got into this. I'm just starting to let my guard down a little bit. So I think my cutoff point can't be 2 years. But even still, once I started talking to this guy I'm talking to now, here I am. It's 2 years. And I'm like, But I feel like I'm a little bit more impatient.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean,
little
but
do he
heck,
know
your
he
two
might be
years
about
is
to
not
get cut off
your 2 years
because
is
it's
not.
just like my impatience.
But your 2 years is not the same as everybody else's 2 years because you just said your first year you don't even really
Be
give it your
acknowledging the
all.
man.
Yeah, you just like kind of got somebody around, so you might really actually be like just a year in if you took a whole year to kind of get to know them. So what do you think you have to do now? Are you gonna still just navigate the same way and see
But
what
my
happens?
whole thing with that is I'm like, do I feel like that's kind of harming my relationships in the long run? Because
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know that the other person feels like that first year that I'm like, because for real, if we go somewhere, I'm just for real, like real even tentative like with introducing him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just I'm protective because I don't want to be embarrassed and I don't know, at some point, I hadn't even met your family yet. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know who all you deal with. I need to see your friends and how you act with me around your friends and all that kind of stuff. So it's
That's
like,
what dating is, though. You're supposed to see all that
Right.
stuff and do all that stuff, so you can make a decision, an informed decision on are we gonna make this an exclusive dating thing where now we are talking about marriage.
And it goes both ways. So
yeah, so
you
that's where
have
my
to,
little timeline
you
get
can't,
messed up.
hide him. Not saying you hiding him, but you have to bring him around your friends and stuff. So your friends can see him in that kind of light, see how he acts, and
Yeah,
get a feel. You could be wasting your time with this man hadn't.
yeah, you could.
And, oh yeah, this might be a whole nother episode though. With my kids there though, after I broke up with him, you will be amazed, or I was amazed at how many of my friends came up to me and told me, yeah, we ain't like him
I think
anyway.
your family said
What?
that too.
Why y'all ain't all tell me this when
Because
we
you
was
cannot
together?
tell a woman about their relationship if they have not solicited the
Yep.
advice, because it will ruin. Because what will happen is you would have heard your friends, and at the time, with your mindset, you might not have listened to
Yep.
it, but you still was gonna go back home to him. So unless you asked your friends, "What do y'all think about my relationship?"
They
They
ain't
not
gonna
gonna
say
say
nothing.
nothing. And I would tell them I wouldn't say a word either unless somebody asked me
Yep.
directly what I think about their
Yep.
man. I'm not saying
Yep.
nothing.
Unless I see my friend being hurt, then I ain't gonna
Hurt,
wait
yeah,
for
that's
her to say
different.
something. Then I'm gonna say something,
Yeah,
in that case. But I think in my
yeah.
situation, Shayna, I think one thing that I would change about myself, and I don't know if it's because of the sign that I am, but I'm very controlling. And I have
Okay,
learned that I do not need to control everything. A
okay.
relationship is 50-50. Relinquish some of that control. So that was the biggest thing I learned in my relationship, that Angie, you cannot control everything. You are not right about everything.
All right, so Angie, you were mentioning that, something that you may do differently now. What would that be? You were saying something about you would be less controlling.
Yes. I don't know if it's the zodiac sign in me. I'm a Capricorn, but I like to control everything.
Hmm.
I feel like if I control everything, I know it's gonna go right. We're not gonna have any problems. I learned that I cannot control everything. It's okay for me to relinquish some duties or responsibilities. And that's part of what a relationship is about.
Right.
It's 50-50. It's not one person doing everything, because that one person can't do everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, another thing I learned is that I'm not good with the finances.
Hmm.
So, one of the reasons we broke up, I had mentioned, was finances. After we broke up, I realized it was me. It
Mm.
wasn't him.
Okay.
So I had to, realize that, come to that conclusion that, Angie, it wasn't him, it was you. So I learned going forward, in my next relationship, when I get married, that's one of the jobs that I don't want to have control over.
Hmm.
Now, I do want to know where our money's going, making sure you paid the bill,
Right.
but I don't want to be the one responsible. So I've learned that about myself, that I'm not good with handling, paying the household bills on time. I do pay them, let's get that correct, but I can be like 2 or 3 days late, and I get a late fee.
And
So
that makes sense. I think you have to learn those things about yourself. And I think, Kiana, with you talking it through, one thing, I guess, if you have learned about yourself, is that you might be adding too much time on your timelines. You're saying that you've been dealing with somebody for 2 years, but you really only been dealing with them for 1 year. Because the first year was like trial and error. Like you really weren't taking him seriously. So, or you may want to evaluate that. I think that even if you are protecting your feelings in a situation, you can still kind of open up yourself and have them around people. And maybe it might be beneficial for you to possibly even ask your friends, so what do y'all think about my mate? if you round up in
Mm-hmm.
situations where, you know, maybe you didn't. So I think it's all things that, you know, like that's why we're having a conversation today to talk about what we've learned from it, but how we too can grow and still learn, because we're always a work in progress when it comes to this relationship thing. So I want to pose this question to you all. Do you all think that women, so since we're talking about not having boyfriends and what those standards and stuff should look like, do you think that women should go from, say, dating a guy exclusively to engage to that guy? You know, what's that process look like, since we aren't really wanting the boyfriend thing? Or are you okay with boyfriend for just a short period of time? What do you think the timeline should look like for people based on our personal preference?
Hmm. So,
That
like,
whole
when we're dating, are we dating
Yeah,
exclusively?
exclusively. Because, you know, before it's
Okay.
exclusive, you single. So once you all say 6 months in, and I'm making this up, say 6 months in, y'all have the talk, and you both decide we're going to be monogamous, we're going to date exclusively, it's just going to be me and you. At that
Okay.
point, are you okay with saying, okay, we can be boyfriend for X amount of time? Or at that point, if you all say you're dating exclusively and you do that, well, let me say this. You say you come to that decision, we're dating exclusively. Do you say now, okay, now we need to start talking about marriage so we can become fiance, you know, right away? Or do you give it that
No,
time?
no. I don't want to use the term boyfriend, but I think if we was dating, now we're, it's just me and you. So we in this other little phase. So I'll
Okay.
quote boyfriend phase. But we're not gonna stay in that phase long.
Okay.
Especially if we're on the same page, we know me and you, we got a good thing going. So that the next stage is, maybe we had that conversation. Okay, well, what your finances look like? What's your health record look like?
Mm-hmm.
Have deeper conversations.
Yeah.
And if we can get past that one, then the next step for me, are we getting together? Let's get some rings going,
Yeah. What's that look like? What do you think, Keon?
I don't know, because I, like you said, what does that timeline look like?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like jacked up in that sense, in that I don't really have a timeline. Like, I still have my little, in the back of my mind, 2 years is long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because in talking to men, I've
Mm-hmm.
often heard men say that they know from the very beginning whether or not they want to marry you. Now, of
Oh,
course,
we
they're
talk
not,
about
Right.
that for
men ain't
sure. Men
men ain't
don't,
showing up on the first date talking about, yeah, I want to get married. But
but
they,
they
after
know.
they have a couple of dates and they say, oh, okay, she ain't crazy, I could do this,
They
they
know.
know.
They
So
know.
it's
Yeah.
almost like, to me, with my, staying in long relationships, I feel like I need to make some sort of change. I need to give myself some kind of guidelines, because
Mm-hmm.
I can see myself in, dealing with the person I'm dealing with now, just kind of going along,
I think, yeah,
Right. And if you not pressing the issue, not like you stalking him, but if you ain't bringing up marriage and stuff, I don't think he gonna bring it
he's
up.
not. And it's exactly
And
what
that's
you
the thing.
said.
I'm like, and when I'm dealing with somebody, I don't want anybody to feel like I force them into anything. I kind of like for that kind of stuff to come naturally.
Yeah.
And I don't put a lot of pressure. I mean, on no dude, I don't put no pressure. Like, we know my desire is to ultimately get married, but I'm not the type to be every week, every month, every 2 months talking about,
Right.
okay, so what's up with this ring? So that's, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe I need to
No,
go
no,
And
no.
therapy
not to
about
say
I
this,
that
think
you
because
that,
even have to do that, but after year one, after year two, y'all done had the conversation. Ain't that, I mean, you shouldn't have to be like, okay, dude, where the ring at? But he should know this is what you want. Why is he keep making you
because
wait?
you
and
have
see,
to make
that's
sure
the
it's what
thing.
he wants.
Look at my relationships in the past, where we've had these conversations, and then it's like, okay, you want to get married, I want to get married, we both check X in this box, but still here I am 20 years later, still without a ring on my finger.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
my whole thing is like, I don't know, maybe I need somebody to give me some guidance who got married. Like, what did y'all do in these relationships? Because I've never been married, I don't
But
know how this
listen to
works.
this, but
Of course,
Kiana,
we know that people are
let me
unique. Go ahead.
I want to interject this, because I think about the episode we did, like I think maybe episode 11, we have 4 married couples on, and one thing that all 4 of them guys said is exactly what you just said. They said, I knew almost immediately this was going to be
Yeah.
my wife. And so I think the difference is we are dealing with men who over time will decide, hey, yeah, I'm going to marry her, but the reason they are dragging their feet, or the reason they have not give you a ring, is because in their heart of hearts they don't want to be married. And it's the thing that I think a lot of with women, we want to nurture a man to death. We want to fix a man. We want to put him together. We
Okay.
want to do all this stuff to build him up to be just the man that we want to make our husband. But men, for the most part, too, when a woman comes, like I would say for those of us on a podcast, you come already put together. you know you are the catch. It's really up to when you encounter a certain man. If he's in that place in life where he wants to get married and knows it, then it's not going to be that you got to figure all this stuff out. That man's going
Right.
to already know. So I
Right.
think that's what it comes down. Every married man I've talked to, when they've done it, in the right way, and it's a healthy and happy marriage, has
Yeah.
said, within the first couple of dates, like, I knew this one was going to be my wife.
I had a friend who said that he said when he first saw his wife, he knew.
Yeah,
He
you
knew
get
she
it.
was the one.
You get it. And I think sometimes as women, I like I said, I ain't never been married, but I think you kind of will sometimes know too, if the man that you're dealing with, if he is really open to that, or if he just giving you lip service. I think that
Right.
we have to evaluate that also. So I
Yeah.
And
don't
I
think
think that's my problem because I can't tell the difference.
you
I be
might be dealing
believing
with
them.
some folks giving you lip
Look,
service.
I be believing them, and I stay around for 8 years and be waiting
Yeah.
and waiting.
Well, you need to have like
He,
four or
I be
five
like,
boyfriends.
he had said we was
He
gonna get
said back in
married,
1995.
right?
You
I'm
need 4 to
telling you, that
5
be me.
boyfriends.
Look, while y'all laughing, y'all see this is my real life. This is a true story. This is
But I'm
not a
telling
fabrication.
you need 4 to 5 boyfriends. Whoever proposes, who you walking off into the sunset with.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
Look, let me go and look. I'm finna have a Kiana draft while the NFL draft coming
Look,
on.
it's
Look,
talking season coming
finna
up.
put me some polls on Facebook.
Yeah, I
Look,
think you got to start to. They
I
know they
need
got
you
the
to put your
Facebook dating.
stats up here. Go
Yeah,
ahead, put your stats.
honey, they got the Facebook dating app now. I think, but you might have to come with a bigger magnifying glass to really evaluate what these men are saying and how they moving. Because, and it might be a real conversation that's necessary to say, for example, if you're dealing with somebody that's doing in your book what you want right, everything right. And in your mind, you saying, oh, it's 2 years, I want to get married. It may be time to sit down and have a conversation and ask this man, like, to be just
Right.
100% honest with me. Like, are you okay with this relationship being how it is and never walking down the aisle again? You might not get the answer that you want,
You got to
but
be
you're going to
prepared.
get an answer.
You got to be
Right, and
prepared.
that's my whole thing. Like y'all saw, I could walk away. I
Yeah.
was prepared for. Hey, if I walk away, he may not never call me again. May not never see him.
But how
I
long
just
did it
had to
take
get
you?
myself ready, huh?
How long did it take you though?
I'm just saying. So look, I hear your face scrunching up right now. I told you at the very beginning. People always scrunch up their face when they looking at me. Don't judge me, heifer.
I am
Yeah.
not
Don't
judging. I
judge
was
me.
in a relationship for 10 years before I got a ring. But I knew
Look,
from that relationship, that ain't going to happen again.
Yeah.
I knew from that it's not going to happen again. And you see, after 10 years, even though I called it quits, I still didn't get married. So I
Yeah.
and I
wasted
think
10,
one thing
not
with me
wasted,
though,
but that was 10 years of my life. That was my 30s. I could have been out there with somebody else.
Yeah.
right. And that's the thing, because I went through my 20s and my 30s with two
Mm-hmm.
different people. And I think a big part of my problem is that I'm so low maintenance in a relationship.
Mm.
Whereas, some people are gonna bug, nag, and all of this together. Like, I'm like, no, I'm a type of person, I like my space. I'm not one of them real clingy women and stuff. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
that comes across to me and like, oh, she ain't really feeling me like
If
that.
she don't
But no,
care.
I like my space. I like, even if we were married, stayed in the same house, I would have my space. I'm not gonna be sitting. But when it's time for us to come together, yeah, I want my cuddle time. I want all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I also am gonna go hang out and have drinks with my girls. I'm gonna be working on my little t-shirt business, trying to do all these things to make my life better. Yeah, if you want to parlay, do a partnership with something, yeah, we can do that. So I feel like maybe that low maintenance piece of me is just like,
But I think men
and
that
giving
know
person
you,
a time
they have
is
to know you though. They get to know you and you all have those conversations where they understand that it's like 50% Kiana may want to be alone, 50% she
Right.
wants to spend time together. That comes through communication. And for them to understand and to know, do
right.
they want a woman that likes that kind of balance? Because if you want a woman that's clingy all the time, then I'm just not the one for you.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Hmm.
So I think it comes down to constant and upfront and clear communication, and for both parties to be honest about who they are, and for people to really just accept that this is what I'm going to get because this is who they've displayed as who they really are. So I want to ask this question, since we're talking about people really being who they are. Do you all think it's possible for women, when they are being truly honest with themselves, to be okay with having a boyfriend forever and nothing more? Or do you all think that women innately want to be married?
Hell no, they all lying.
I thought,
Anybody, look, I'm finna tell you, anybody who's sitting up talking about, he love me, I love him, we don't need a ring, it's just a piece of paper, they talking shit. They trying to hype
But
themselves
then
up.
again,
They
Kiana,
trying to,
what about Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell? They've been together forever and ain't married. Or did they get married? So it
I
is
don't
some
know if they
people
married
out
or not.
here.
It's 1%. It's a very few.
Yeah. Well, I'm
I
not that
still
one
don't even
percent.
believe
I
that.
want to
I
get
don't
married.
believe that. I don't care if they've been together 50 years. I guarantee you, if he roll up with this ring, Goldie finna say yes. She ain't finna say, Kurt, put that away.
I mean,
Yeah.
Why are
she
you
got a
wasting my
ring,
time?
but they
I
haven't,
bet you.
went to the justice of the
But
peace.
this is what proves my point. If he comes tomorrow, they could be together 55 years. If he show up tomorrow and say, let's get married,
You gonna say yeah.
I would bet my bottom dollar that she gonna say yes. Even
Yeah.
if they do just go to the courthouse, she's gonna say, yep, let's go do it. It ain't no woman. Now, if you're saying no to a marriage because the relationship is dysfunctional, nothing like that,
That's a
but I feel
different
like if
thing.
you're in a happy, healthy relationship and that man says, come on, look at Oprah and Stedman. Let Stedman roll through. Oprah could buy Stedman.
Yeah.
But
But
let
then
Stedman
Oprah
come
say
through
he did
talking
ask her to marry him, and she said no.
I don't know.
Oprah line.
I think she said that he
Because
did
Oprah
ask
rich.
her.
Who gonna tell Oprah she lying? Who gonna tell her she lying?
I don't
Stedman
know.
Yeah.
ain't.
Or I think for Oprah, she might say no because so much money involved. She don't want to get married for that. But no, I
But
think
this
she
was
may
early
want to get
on in her
married.
career.
But I think she may want to get married, but maybe business wise, she may be like it ain't a good financial move. But in her heart of hearts, she still want to get
She
married.
got enough money
Girl,
to get
she
a
can get a
prenuptial
prenup.
agreement that could lock Stedman
That's
out of
true.
anything. Stedman would leave there looking like Eddie Murphy on Trading Places.
Yeah.
So
Shut up, Kiana.
it's no. So my whole thing is to answer your question. The people who talking about I want a lifetime boyfriend, those women are not telling the
I
truth.
want to get married.
Mm.
I don't
What
want
do
to.
you
I don't
think,
want to
Angie?
spend my whole life, uh, yeah, by myself. No, I want a husband. I don't want a boyfriend. I want a husband. I want to be able to introduce you as my husband. When the cards come for Christmas, I wanted to say Mr. and
Right.
Mrs. For a wedding invitation. I don't want to be like Joe X and Angie. No, no.
So listen to
And I
this. I just
also
looked
a
this
big
up.
thing with
So
me,
no, go ahead, Kiana. I'll say it after.
I was gonna say a big thing with me with marriage too is just also I've gone through the majority of my life controlling most aspects of my life from raising my kids to,
Hmm.
you know, trying to manage a career,
Hmm.
going to school, all of that kind of stuff. I really just want to have in a husband somebody who got my back,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
somebody I could say that, hey, this person has made this commitment. Now, a lot of people with boyfriends, they're going to say, hey, my boyfriend got my back. He don't do whatever and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, like I said, boyfriend go out here and get in this car wreck and something happen, your boyfriend ain't got your back because you ain't got no $500,000 life insurance policy. You can't pay that house off. He ain't got your back no more. Husband says, baby, let's get this life insurance. Let me make sure that if something happens to me,
You
that
take
you can
care.
still stay in this house, that you can still maintain your lifestyle. That's what husbands do. Boyfriends say, hey, when I'm gone, you on your own. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the big difference with me. Somebody who's going to give me that assurance that, hey, Kiana, I am here for you. I'm going to be here for you while we alive. So death do we part. And even after we die, I'm there for you. You there for me. Because I would do the same for my husband. We finna have that life insurance policy where he's going to be okay. He ain't got to worry about money after I'm gone.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of what a marriage is to me, as opposed to saying, hey, I'm your boyfriend. Boyfriend, you take your ass on. I don't, like
Yeah.
I said, I think I'm gonna make a shirt about that. I'm a wife, not a girlfriend.
Oh, I
I
buy.
get
Start
it.
working
I
on that one
love it.
today.
I
I
love it.
buy.
And I think that I looked up, Oprah said that in her thing in 1993, the moment after, so he did propose and said that she said, had they got married, the relationship may have never worked out. So she gave a little snippet and said, in 1993, the moment after I said yes to his proposal, I had doubts. I realized I didn't actually want a marriage. I wanted to be asked, Winfrey wrote. I wanted to know he felt I was worthy of being his missus, but I didn't want the sacrifices, the compromises, the day in, day out commitment required to make a marriage work. My life with the show was my priority, and we both knew it. So it sounded like she was just being selfish for herself at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I
Hmm.
think come now, I think he was the try. I mean, it's been so long. He probably, what am I asking for now at this point?
Right.
But I think he was
Right.
asking now, her answer might be a little different.
And just think of her having that awareness at that
And
time,
that
though.
was a good
Imagine how
thing.
Oprah's life could have been different had she got married. She might have gotten consumed in her marriage and not gone on to become who she is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing
And that's
that
what
she
shows
knew
you
that within
when your
herself
20s
that
and
she
your
was able
30s.
to make it.
Yep.
You
And at
know.
the age she was at, she had a great self-awareness, and she knew I'm in my 20s, my 30s, I have to focus on myself, and not a lot of people can do that. And then she also says, um, She said the show required 17-hour work days and she would return home to her dogs and to Graham. She said her partner let her be who she needed to be in the world. He's never demanded anything from me, like where's my breakfast, where's my dinner, never any of that, which I would believe would have changed when we married. So she said they have basically like a spiritual partnership. But yeah, you have to have a very high awareness to make a call like that, and to also be with a partner who's going to say okay and let Oprah, as big as she is, be Oprah.
Right.
And that's a whole nother thing. That's another conversation. So would you all say for women that are in relationships that are, right now, quote unquote, playing house with boyfriends, should they begin to move differently, or should they start to have the conversation with those boyfriends about what are the next steps?
That all depends on what they want to accomplish, because
Okay.
in my period of playing house, now I played house with children, which may
Okay.
be a little different than if you're playing house with somebody else. But my relationship had gotten to that point where I told you it was like that whole control piece.
Mm-hmm.
I was working part time, looking at possibly getting further education, but I was kind of stuck.
Okay.
Had I moved on, I was like, what am I going to do with my kids? How am I going to be able to afford to pay for these things?
Okay.
So I was stuck in that relationship. So my playing house was actually a hindrance to me and what I possibly could have become.
Okay.
So in playing house when you're single, look at what your goals are. Once I saw, and let me tell you what my turning point was. I had a car because I was able to purchase one with a settlement that I had gotten. So I had a car, but my income was very limited. So I had to ask for gas money. There was
Mm.
this one particular instance where I asked for gas money and it was not given to me.
Mm.
I was like, okay, my light switch
Went off.
flipped really, really quickly. So I had to flip the script. So now my thing was, I've got my kids. I now need to get my own place that I can pay for. So
Mm-hmm.
while I was, playing house, I was in charge of the budget. So the
Mm-hmm.
money came in. I made sure bills were paid, things of that nature. So
Mm-hmm.
I was skimming like on Ozark. I was
Yeah.
in, look, every time I went to the groceries, I'm getting 20 here, 50 here. I started saving up, and one day, please believe, he came back to that apartment and nobody was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
He's gone.
I would say, as a woman, if you have children, look out for the best interest of your
Yes.
children.
Mm-hmm.
Is what's going on in this relationship serving you and your children well? If you are single, is this relationship while you playing house, is it serving you well? So you may be in school, you may be starting a career. Are they helping you pay off your student loans? Are
Mm-hmm.
they helping you advance your career? Do you need a little business suit? Because that was one thing I remember, and I don't know, at a younger age, I was taken to go buy a nice suit to go to interviews. And that was
Mm-hmm.
something that I thought was okay. Yeah, you're trying to help me out. You're making sure I look nice. But do you have something nice to wear to an interview?
Yeah.
Do you need gas money? Because people on different levels, at that
Yeah.
point, I needed gas money. If you ask for gas money, is it going to be given to you? If you
Right.
need to go purchase a laptop, are you having to go sit in the library while he running around doing his thing? Are you having to go borrow some Wi-Fi from somewhere? So
Yeah.
look at your situation and see, is this boyfriend serving you? Because if he's
Mm-hmm.
not, I would say leave.
Okay.
I don't. I,
That
I
makes sense.
don't
Those are
believe
great
in
examples.
playing house. I just don't
Okay.
believe in playing house. Especially not now in the 50 age range. Unless
Absolutely.
unless we, get rings and we moving in together to save money so we could purchase a bigger house. Different story, but I'm not finna play house just to be playing house. Let you get that recognition of, yeah, this my wifey, she cook and she do all that, but I don't have that comfort of knowing that I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
protected if something happened to you, like Kiana was saying. So I'm against playing
Absolutely.
house. I'm against it.
I agree with both of you guys. I think you got to look out what's best for you. And I think about also being single right now in my age group. If the situation you're in is not adding any value to your life, because I know people have been in situations where, yeah, y'all living together, but guess what? Now you actually got less money in your pocket than you had
Mm-hmm.
before he came around.
Mm-hmm.
You
Because
know,
another person,
you
more
haven't,
electricity, more food, more this,
yeah, it's more
you know.
electricity, and some months he got the rent, some months he don't. When you find you in that situation when it's like I can survive in here alone, and when you are here, I'm losing
Right.
money or I'm losing energy or losing sleep, losing anything. Then it's time for me to
Yeah.
go. So I
My
think
whole thing with that is how I can't understand how, okay, so if I'm living my life, I got my spot and you got your spot, I when you talk about this whole playing house, moving in together, when we come together, that should be a better situation for us both.
Yes.
Oh,
If
yeah.
we come together and I'm still in a
If
deficit,
you're still struggling.
oh,
Yeah.
something ain't right, because we should be both paying less. You
Yeah.
had a house that you were paying for. I have a house I'm paying for. When we come together and that's my whole thing. Yeah, I can't, at this point, nobody's moving in here. I'm not moving in anywhere else unless it's with my husband. That's
Yeah.
the
With my husband, we're
only.
buying a home together.
Right,
that
right.
we
And then when
both
I get married,
are
we're not
getting
gonna
it.
move into this house. We're gonna get
Yeah.
another house that we get together. Cause see, this will always
Yeah.
be my house. And I know me, the first time we get into an argument, man, it's my shit. That's me. So yeah, me and my
Yeah.
husband gonna have to get something, new that's ours.
Hours. Yeah. That way you're not trying in a situation. And then too, you're talking about building, adding value. Hopefully, say y'all get a new house, you can use your house as
As a
a
rental
rental property
property,
or something like
exactly,
that.
exactly,
Right.
Add some more wealth onto it.
exactly.
So all of that makes perfect sense. And on that note, we will be right back with the Living Single segment. So now this brings us to the Living Single segment. And in this segment, we answer a question that has been asked of us about relationships from social media, and we advise the listener of how they should proceed. So feel free to send in your living single question of the day to our Instagram at To Be Single or Not to Be, or on Facebook To Be Single or Not to Be Apparel. So ladies, the question today: my partner and I sat down to have a serious conversation about where our relationship was going, and I realized that he never wants to get married. Ugh. Should I end the
Yes.
relationship?
Yep. Especially if
Wait.
especially if you want to get married, why are you hanging around in the relationship?
Yeah, that's my thing. I was about to say, she didn't specify whether or not she wanted to get married, but if
I think she wrote
marriage
in. I
is
think she
her,
did.
if that is her ultimate goal, then yeah, then don't, just move on. It's
Yeah.
it's no need to stay in that relationship, because then all you're doing is just wasting
Right.
time. I
And
mean,
and some women
whatever it
think,
is that you're staying for, you can get it somewhere else.
women think that they
Yeah.
can change a man and all this, so you can't. If he doesn't want to get married, you're not going to change his mind. Just move on.
Not at all. So there you have it. Looks like you need to have a different conversation, and it's going to be to shut this thing down. So as I said earlier, write in with your living single question of the day, and we'll be right back with the resolution. This brings us to the resolution, and this is a quick roundtable discussion on our final thoughts on this topic in regards to, what do you all think we have to do to end this epidemic of women accepting boyfriends and not requiring more when what we really want is a husband?
I would say know your self-worth, know your value, know what you will accept. Stop giving men the last word on when you'll be getting married. If that's what you want, set a timeline for yourself and stick to it. If the guy doesn't propose by your deadline, you have to move on.
I agree. I think that it's necessary for us to just evaluate, where we are in life, meaning where we are with our age, what it is that we've set as our standards and requirements. And if we haven't done that, to take the time to really think about what that looks like, and then to stand your ground on what it is you want. You have to be, mindful, be aware. Don't be such a stickler, but if 2 years, 2 months, or 5 years is too
Exactly.
long. And so you just have to make a decision and know that you have to be okay with it, because at the end of the day, we are
Yeah.
always okay. So,
Definitely.
last but not least, what would you say, Kiana?
I'm just saying, I completely agree. I think I've gotten my point across. A boyfriend ain't nothing. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard, let this man know what we want. And I got a few words that I want to share with the dudes. Y'all listen up. We stuck
Okay.
in this house during quarantine. Quit all that talking, dude. I want a ring. I got a car and a crib, my own house to 10. Remember, I am a wife. I'm not a girlfriend.
Whoop,
Fall back,
whoop,
dude.
whoop.
Fall back.
And
Nobody got time for you and your foolishness. Y'all need some more bars. No, I'm just playing.
we gonna have that come out on the next album that we put out. So yes. I want to give yourselves a round of applause. You all did an awesome job. Your opinions are always valued and appreciated. We definitely thank you all for taking the time to come on and share your personal thoughts and experiences. I know I took a lot away from it. I think we all learned something, and I know the listeners will. So thank you all again. And on this note, we'll be right back with. And now this this brings us to the Montana Minute. The first thing, set your own personal relationship goals and standards before you sign up to be in a relationship with someone. You need to know what you want in order to ask for it. The next thing, if you want to be married, verbally discuss that with your partner early and often. And the last thing, everyone's journey is different. However, as you get older, you should get wiser. So do what's best for you and stay only if you truly want to be there and not just because of history or habit. So if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave us a review and don't forget to visit our website, www.tobesingleornottobe.com, and join our email list so you can stay up to date with all of the podcast happenings. And now I leave you to decide, to be single or not to be. That is the question. Signing off, yours truly, Shanna Montana.